Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. I'm gonna be completely honest. This episode didn't do anything for me. It was okay. 99% of this episode did not do anything for me. I think we can all guess the 1% that actually liked. You got a second to kind of think about that one. Dante and Sam putting up that. Dante and Sam didn't really do anything in this episode, to be honest. I mean, they were throwing the axes. Um, you know, Sam, well, Dante threw the axe and he got he got the bullseye on the first try. And, Sam was like, oh, of course you could, maybe in the past life you were like a mountain man. I was like, maybe he's a cop. And that's kind of what they do. They're at the gun range like all the time, making sure that their, accuracy is on point. Maybe that was kind of why he, got it on the first try. They talk about Liz for a little bit. They talk about Betsy, and I'm not gonna lie, it didn't really do much of anything. I mean, yeah, she was a person of interest, but I mean, all he said was that she got pulled over and she got locked up for like 72 hours because the woman's a nut job. So yeah, that was pretty much about it. Ben was asking Jake a couple of questions, and Liz didn't like the way that that he was interrogating her. That she she didn't like the fact that she didn't like the way that Finn was interrogating him. So, they kind of went into the kitchen and he kind of realized he overstepped, and then he went back out there and he apologized. And here's my issue with this whole Franco thing. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person that feels this way. So throughout this episode, you got Jake and Cam Smith there talking about Franco and how much they mean to him and stuff like that. And, even having the painting is, just something nice to kind of remember him by. But the the thing is, it's like we're sitting there talking about how great Franco was and we miss him. And at the same time, it's kind of a kick in the face to the people who like Franco because now you have him as a new character that, well, let's be honest, a lot of people's not exactly really feeling him. And it's like, you killed off a great character, a redemption arc. You did all that because, like, I don't really know why you did that. So, why just not to talk about how great Franco was? It's like, yeah, now we have him as Austin because, you know, reasons. Um, Long story short, Betsy does come in there and she says that she has something to tell Liz and that she wasn't being completely honest. And at first she wasn't going to say anything, but Finn, because Finn was there, and now she has something to say. So I guess we'll wait until tomorrow, and hopefully it's something that's going to move the storyline along, because that would be great. New Jordan's back, and I could not be more excited. I know that a lot of people are having issues with the fact that she's kind of young and that she looks a little bit too young to be um, TJ's mother. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of true. I'm not saying that they're saying it's not. I don't really have anything to add to that. Um, but she's back. She wants to get caught up on everything that's going on, and um, Laura kind of makes her. She kind of swears her in a little bit until they get things official, and kind of just fill her in on the stuff that's going on with Victor and how Peter's going. Victor and all his shenanigans. But to be honest, they didn't really talk about anything that was like, okay, so do we have any theories? I mean, do we have any proof? It seemed like all they were doing was talking about theories of what Victor could be doing, what he's up to, why would he want to sit there and take out Peter? And it was like, okay, all right, yeah. Oh, also that agent that Victor was using to go after Peter, well, he's dead. So, you know, I mean, Victor did actually tie up loose ends. So that's good. I say that's good because I can't remember what other soap operas that they're watching where they just was like, we're not gonna tie up. I think it was like a bad guy that was supposed to like take out somebody and they didn't do it, and it's like it's kind of stupid that you didn't really sit there and oh, that's what it is. It's Y&R. That's what it is. Felicia and Mac was there to serve really no purpose other than to, you know, be around a baby and stuff like that. Other than that, once Maxie left with the baby, they didn't really serve too much of a purpose. I mean, don't get me wrong. Listen, it's nice to actually have them around, to have them there. You know, they've been on the show for such a long time, and I think that's really amazing. But with that being said, they didn't really do much of anything, and it was like, okay. It's kind of like when Bobby shows up every now and then. It's like it's great that she's there because she's been on the show for such a long time, but it's like you're not really doing too much of anything, are you? You're just kind of there to be there. Really, I'm not a fan of fillers. Austin apologizes. I'm gonna be honest. Every time Austin apologizes, I roll my eyes. I get so annoyed. I get so annoyed that I'm literally sitting there just going on my tablet, scrolling other things, deciding on which OF I should sit there and keep for the month and or for the next month because it's just the same thing. Like he apologizes. Maxie was like, "Oh, you should have bought. You should have, mind your business. You should have kept, like stop. Went not go after Brooklyn." I'm like, "Oh, have you met Brooklyn? I mean, there was a point when you were actually friends with her. Like you couldn't stand her, and I'm pretty sure if she crossed you the wrong way, you will go after her. So let's, I get it's her baby and stuff like that, but let's cut the BS. You act like she wouldn't have done the same thing. If she didn't know what the stakes was and stuff like that, I mean, she would have went after Brooklyn as well. So this whole, oh, you should have just left well enough and all. I'm like, please just do me a favor and shut up. I am so glad that they got past that part. I guess they're gonna make them a couple. Um, Maxie was sitting there talking about, how much of a good friend you are and stuff. And I'm like, I mean, on Austin's side, Austin's like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, we're friends and everything like that. But I kind of thought we were going to be kind of jumping that line and move to more than friendship. But at the same time, I'm also like, Austin, you just look way too old to sit there and be with Maxie. But whatever, they're going to make it happen because reasons. Honestly, tell you, the sad part? I feel like if they would have had another character in there to be a romantic interest for Maxie, they would have did it. Or if they had somebody that was single, um, they would have did it. So I feel like, or if they would have had somebody else play Austin that was a little bit more younger and more closely to Maxie's age, it would have worked. But Roger left because of reasons, and he came back as a different character, and now it's like, all right, we're kind of stuck with that decision, and Maxie's with him, so I guess we're stuck with that decision too. Awesome. Completely stupid, but now I realize that I'm going a little kind of harsh on this episode. Here's the thing: I was sitting there talking to DC, so because we just wrapped up another collab video, and after the collab video, we were sitting there talking, and you know, one thing that we kind of both agreed on is because we're reviewers and we kind of look at the soap opera a little bit differently than just being a fan. And to some extent, how do I sit down and put it? We look at it a little bit differently because we're a little bit more detail oriented. Like we're looking for every little thing, and sometimes we kind of, I guess, judge each episode a little bit harsh or harder than if we were like regular fans. Because a lot of times when I sit there and read the comments and stuff like that, people sit there like, "Oh, I like this episode because of this," or "I like this episode because of that," and sometimes I'm just like, "You are clearly seeing something that I'm not." But at the same time, I'm not just a fan. I'm kind of looking at this like more detail oriented. So sometimes, like if my reviews or my takes on some of the episodes can be a little more harsher, just to kind of remember that I'm not just looking at this from a fan's point of view. If that makes any sense. Curtis and Marshall. I feel like at this point, we are just having the exact same conversations, which is not really going too much of anywhere, which is not really moving the storyline anywhere. Um, so Curtis and Marshall are talking, and Marshall Smith they talk about the job interview that he doesn't want to do because of the background check, but then he decides to do it anyway. So it's like, okay, you turned down the job because of the background check, and then you try to make it seem like the background check wasn't that big of a deal, like it was just you getting arrested for something that was like non-violent. If that was the case, then why did you? God, that makes no sense now. That really makes no sense. He literally turned down Drew's offer because, oh, I don't want to do a background check, and then he comes there today with Curtis, and Curtis is like, oh, you turned down the back, you turned it down. Oh yeah, it's not a background check, nothing really too crazy. And then he goes back to And then he goes back to Drew. He's like, I'll take the job or whatever, whatever background check. I got nothing to hide. It's like, well, if you have nothing to hide, then why'd you turn down the job? We just kind of woosah that for a minute. Um, and of course, Curtis like, listen, I'm not gonna push. If you want to sit there and tell me, that's up to you. But at first, I'm not gonna lie. Now I sit there and think about it. He says he wants to sit there and know more because of Portia and Trina, and they're going to be moving in together. And he doesn't want anything that's going to come up in Curtis Marshall's past that's going to be dangerous towards it's going to put them in danger. And Marshall's like, well, whatever it is, it's nothing that's going to be like I can promise you that it's nothing going to be that's going to be dangerous or anything like that. That I'm gonna put Portia and Trina and in any sort of danger. And so Curtis backs off, and I'm like, what are we doing? I think this is the reason why a lot of people are not on board anymore, or just kind of just like they're so over this storyline with Marshall because it's like nothing is really happening. And it's a lot of back and forth, it's a lot of inconsistencies, even within the episodes. Like I'm watching, it's like, what are we doing? Because I was watching DC Sanctuary's review on GH, his latest one. He was talking about how he kind of just like he's so over the whole Marshall storyline. At first, I was like, man, that's a little kind of harsh. Well, but then I'm sitting there watching too. I'm like, oh, wow, he has a point. He has a point. Oh, and there's a point where Portia meets up with Curtis, and they're talking about the new house, and um, because Portia was with Drew, and they kind of reminisce, Drew's kind of reminiscing over stories like, that time that they practically were in the dumpster diving to find like evidence and stuff like that. And, Drew gave, Portia some sort of listing towards a new house that, will probably serve them both well. So Portia comes over to the club and she shows Curtis the new place and they're hugging and stuff like that. And Jordan comes in there and Jordan just kind of looks like she's just kind of upset and a little heartbroken and stuff like that. I'm like, what are we doing again? But I guess it should be interesting, especially when he realizes that those divorce papers aren't signed. And he probably is going to want to eventually dump in Portia once he realized that Portia has been lying to him for years about Trina being his real daughter. But I guess we'll wait down the line, or in 4 years when that comes out, hopefully it really does not take that long. I honestly tell you the truth, I hope that that truth comes out like soon. I mean, not too soon, but not like within 6 months. I would sit there and give it maybe 3 months. 3 months. If that doesn't happen, I'm just going to be even more disappointed. That's all. I think that's about it. It was a terrible episode. It just seemed like it was filler. Like, I know that each episode sometimes is not going to be like a banger or whatever, but like, this episode just was like not even middle ground. It was just nothing really happened. So, anyway, that's just my personal take on it. With that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Sorry about that. I meant to hit stop.